On behalf of the ATF Foundation, a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Monica Kachru, Chair of the ATF Foundation, and it's my honor to welcome and host all of you today. Let me start with what we're going to do this evening. I'll start with sharing a little bit about the foundation, our inspirations and achievements of the past. Then I want to talk a little bit about our goals and aspirations of the future, and then seek your support in helping us drive our mission forward. We also have a chat and a Q&A functionalities open. We would love to hear from you. Please send in your thoughts, your questions, and we'll be sure to get back to each one of you. Let me start by just acknowledging last 5 months have been really hard for all of us. COVID has changed how we live, how we work. Our personal lives have been changed. And for many of us, even our outlook towards life has changed. We've been rocked with protests, racial tensions, just reminding us of all the inequities that exist in society today. This has given us a renewed meaning to our foundation and its goals. And it's energized us and even more committed to helping students that are underserved and underprivileged reach their maximum potential. And I would be remiss not to mention that it was my older daughter, Anaya, whose insightful understanding of these inequities and its impact on education drove us to reflect and address them. I still remember that she would talk to us for hours, debating, discussing about all the problems. And she would say that world-class education had become a privilege available only to a few. And it was her vision to help students that did not have the opportunities that she had get those and the education that they deserve. 3 years ago, Anna passed away, 9 days short of her 19th birthday. Today is her 22nd birthday. And while she's not here to drive that mission forward, she passed that torch on to us to carry forward with pride and determination. So let me share what we've done so far. In 2018, we helped 1 student reaching 2 communities. In 2019, we added 4 new students, our scholars, to our program, reaching 8 additional communities. This year, 34 exceptional young men and women were nominated to the program, of which 7 bright, dedicated young girls were awarded the scholarship. They're all with us here today. In 2018, there were only 6 of us supporting 1 student. Today, there are 23 of us supporting 11 students. Yes, we've grown, and it's been an incredible journey. But we are hard at work to meet our goals for next year. With your support, we'll be able to help 25 students next year. We've already expanded our partnerships, added more mentors to reach more students and help them. Now, while I'm talking about the goals and sharing them with you, I'd like to share how our support for our students is not only comprehensive, but also unique. We offer 3 things to every scholar: a financial award to help pay for their tuition and educational expenses. Then we pair them up with a mentor who's available to them 24/7. This is because studies year after year show that there are only 1 in 10 students that graduate, and these shockingly low rates are because of lack of academic preparedness and support, and we'd like to change that. And I'm happy to share that starting this year, our scholars would also be able to access their peer mentor. Transitioning to college is very hard in today's times, with influences of social media and many, many other factors. With help of a peer mentor who's a recent graduate, they can lean on somebody their age who completely understands what they're going through. They can call on them to help navigate social situations, perhaps get some studying tips, or even vent about a class. But we don't stop there. We are also offering them internships at our partner organization to help them build that hands-on experience and their professional network that they can rely on for the rest of their lives for their career advancement. And while we're young and early in our foundation's life and don't have a scorecard to point to, I am thrilled, happy, and proud to share we're already making a difference in their lives. In a little bit, you will hear from our scholars about how the foundation has been able to help them and our future cohort of scholars about their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. But first, if you would indulge me, I'd like us to take a journey with our first speaker, Shana Sray. It's my honor to introduce him. Shana Sray is an educator with over 15 years of experience working with low-income, first-generation students on college access and success. Through his work with the Possible Project and federal TRIO programs such as Upward Bound and Educational Talent Search, he has personally helped thousands of students successfully pursue higher education. Shana has served on the board of New England Educational Opportunity Association and is a past president of Massachusetts Educational Opportunity Association. He holds a bachelor's degree in business economics from Brown and a master's degree in education policy and management from Harvard. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could join me in welcoming Shana Sray.
Great. Thank you, Monica, for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you and to briefly share my story with you. It's a story that's somehow unique to me, but also really similar to stories that a lot of low-income first-generation students face while on their journey to and through college. So for the next couple of minutes, I'll walk you briefly through my journey to just really give you an idea of what it was like. My journey started here at the border of Thailand and Cambodia. And the reason for that was because in the mid-70s, from 1975 to 1979, there was a genocide in the country, and about 2 million people died as a result. That's about roughly 20 to 25% of the population at the time. So my family fled our home country of Cambodia to come to a refugee camp at that border. It's called the Kawadang refugee camp. And that's where we lived for a while in the 1980s. In the camp, so this is an aerial view of the camp. During that time, from 1979 to 1992, about 160,000 people passed through this camp, just waiting to go back home or to resettle in another country. And so this is what it looks like. It looks like that, and there's thousands of those thatch huts. This is what it looks like, a view from the inside, and this is a view from the outside. And this is me with my b-boy pose. So I was just a little kid there, growing up in the camp, waiting to get out, essentially. We eventually, after years of waiting, we eventually settled in Lynn, Massachusetts. Lynn is not too far from Boston, as you can see on this map. It's about like maybe half an hour drive. Lynn was a pretty interesting place to grow up. The population is about 90,000 people, and it's known to be can be a tough area. With 21% of the population living below the poverty income level. But also, Lynn also had a bad rep. If you talk to anybody who knows anything about Lynn, they probably will tell you the unofficial slogan, Lynn, the city of sin. You never go out the same way you came in. Probably heard that. I heard that way too many times. There's also a second verse where it's like, Lynn, the city of sin. You ask for water, they give you gin. I don't think that's so bad, really, given the pandemic, but it has a really negative connotation. But what Lynn was really great was diversity. This is a picture of me and my classmates back at Lynn Classical High School in the late 90s, 1999. This is As you can see, it's a pretty diverse class. Lynn is about roughly 50% white and 50% people of color. And you can see that the richness of diversity is there. So it had that going for it. But because it was can be such a difficult place to grow up, a lot of time thinking about the future was a very difficult thing for people to imagine. Like my own mom, she told me, when I was younger, basically if I could graduate high school, she would be so proud of me. And for some of us, that's like such a low bar, but for her, that was such a high bar because high school graduation was not a given. And for someone like me, I started school in the United States as an ESL student, just learning English for the first time and trying to do well in school. Eventually, I learned how to speak English well enough for them to put me through to the mainstream regular classes, and then that continued through the rest of my schooling, all through from elementary to high school. When I was thinking about my future, the summer before my senior year, I had the privilege of meeting up with an alum of a college while I was playing tennis with a classmate of mine. So this is the summer before my senior year, and I was just playing tennis with her, and there was a Brown alum there who wanted to join in. He was related to her. I think he was her uncle. And after our tennis game, he was asking us, like, have you thought about like what we will do after high school graduation? And for me, I was like, I'm not sure, but I know that I just have to graduate high school. He told us, well, have you thought of thinking of applying to Brown, or have you heard of Brown? And I was like, no. And he's like very puzzled by that because apparently it's a very popular school. And he's like, yeah, well, it's part of the Ivy League. And I was like, I don't know what the Ivy League is. I'm sorry. So he took an interest in us and actually brought us to visit campus. And because of that experience, I developed an interest in going to Brown, actually. So I decided to apply. And lo and behold, I actually got in. I still think that's like a miracle, but miracles happen, I suppose. And so I got in as a part of class of 2003. When I got to Brown, this was when I saw firsthand what privilege really looked like. And they looked like my classmates. So, while I was at Brown during those 4 years, there were a number of like famous people that were already on campus, and sons and daughters of famous people. And then there were celebrities there were people who were going to be celebrities. For example, at Brown, we had Hollywood actress Lily Sobieski. She was there when I was there. And then we have son of Superman, Matthew Reeve. You know his dad, Christopher Reeve, a Superman. And then Lucy DeVito was there. That's her dad in the middle, Danny DeVito. This guy you might not know, but I'm sure you know his dad. His name is Boris Yeltsin. I'm not his dad, his granddad. His granddad is Boris Yeltsin. This man right here, he was in my class. His name is Boris Yeltsin Jr. And then this guy, you probably see him in the office. This is John Krasinski. He was also on campus when I was there. Daveed Diggs from Hamilton, the musical Hamilton, he was also there. And then this guy, you might not know who he is, but he's my freshman year roommate. He looks a lot like this guy. Doesn't hurt to look like, another actor. So he looks a lot like Ryan Reynolds for some reason. But Josh was valedictorian of a class of 6 people. 6 people in his class. He went to a tennis academy. So he was my freshman year roommate. I've always had a roommate, but I've never had a roommate who was, valedictorian and white and from all the way from California, the other side of the country. So Josh was a very he's very connected. For example, one weekend he decided to leave campus, go back to California, and he decided that he wanted to play tennis with Pete Sampras, and that's why he went back to California, because he had a match lined up to play with Pete Sampras. my mind was just blown. I can't believe like these are like actually people that exist. But you know, just it was such a culture shock for me to be surrounded by, you know, these really talented people, smart and really privileged. I myself like was blown away. I felt like such an imposter. Like what was I going to offer this campus really? You know, like people there seemed a bit more prepared than I was. Actually, a lot more prepared than I was to take on the classes. For example, I had a classmate who's already like programmed his own video game while he was in high school, and now we're like taking the same computer science class. It was wild. Um, so the culture shock was tremendous. It was so much that I decided that I was going to run home after freshman year orientation, and I went back home just to, you know, seek some sort of like normalcy because it was just unreal. So I took that Amtrak home, but I was feeling overwhelmed, and to be honest, I was feeling very scared because I wasn't sure how I was gonna do with a class full of like really extraordinary people. So I contacted that Brown alum just to get his advice and perspective. And it didn't seem fair to me that you know that other folks were a lot more prepared, and I did my best as much as I could to prepare myself for college, but I just seemed really behind. And so I found this cartoon, and I think it's not a perfect representation, but I feel like it's really strike a chord with me. So, you know, what's the matter? It's the same distance, right? Well, maybe, but yeah, I can think of a few reasons why it's different, you know, like family, community pressure and expectations that particularly like low income students of first generation students have to face. And then there's the social, economic, financial and emotional challenges that we face in college. Imposter syndrome and stereotypes threat, for example. There's a hidden curriculum that you learn when you get there eventually. Like for example, like internships. I didn't know what internships were until I got to college. For me, you know, in high school, I worked at Walmart, and we worked at Walmart because, you know, we just did it because we needed the money. It was not to like advance our education or career path in any way. But internships was such a big deal on campus. The culture shock was really real. Lack of support. I think the lack of support and mentors. I, I I think that was something that I felt deeply. Um, and you know, I I was looking for to build a support system when I was there. So I had the Brown alum who was a contact. I also, you know, was able to find others uh, like me who were low income first gen on campus, and we supported each other through the experience. Um, so you know, these are just a few things that could become hurdles, you know, as we, you know, pursue that college degree. I'm sure there are a lot more that's not on this list right here. You know, people tell you that you need intelligence to make it in college, but to make it through, particularly, you know, for like a low-income first-gen student like myself, um, you know, we needed courage. We needed courage to face all these obstacles, but also we needed encouragement. And it's important to have not only courage, but to be fed the proper perspective and to be encouraged. And of course, the financial means to attain that college degree, you know, and especially when you're in a campus of such tremendous wealth. You know, it's easy to see deficits when you're surrounded by so much privilege and wealth. But it's important to have a support system that remind you that you also have a lot to offer, and you also have a lot going for yourself. To really encourage you to take that a more, you know, asset-based approach, to have that positive possibility mindset, because you're going to need it. And a support system, mentors especially, are critical for the success of you know of making it through college. So for me, it's, you know, I think you know how the story ends. You know, spoiler alert, I graduated in 4 years even. to my own surprise, I made it to and through. And, all that was because, I had a strong support system during the whole time and was able to find support on and off campus, all that while balancing, schoolwork, an on-campus job and extracurriculars. But support is extremely critical, and I was happy to be able to find support to make it to and through. So with the proper support in place, I'm sure there are many other students who will make it to and through as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chana. If ever we ever question what we're doing, are we doing enough? Your stories always remind me why we do what we do, and we can't wait to go further and deeper. So thank you, Chana, for that amazing story and just inspiring us like always.
Thanks for having me.
And now I'd like to I have the honor of introducing the one and only Dr. J. Keith Motley, who has graciously accepted to be our keynote speaker. Thank you so much. And if I may, Dr. J. Keith Motley served as the Chancellor of University of Massachusetts, Boston from 2007 to 2017. As Chancellor, Dr. Motley oversaw a strategic planning initiative to enhance the university's academic offering, research enterprise, and build the university as a resource of knowledge and public service. As its first African-American Chancellor, Dr. Motley highlighted academic excellence, access, and inclusion among its key missions. Currently, Dr. Motley serves as a tenured professor at the university's College of Management, as well as serving on numerous key boards with local, regional, and national reach. For 5 years in a row, Dr. Motley was named to the Boston Business Journal's Power 50 list, and in 2016, he was named to the Go Connected 100 list of Boston's 100 most influential people of color. A product of Pittsburgh Public Schools, he's also a graduate of the University of Pittsburgh Upward Bound program. Dr. Motley holds a bachelor's and a master's degree from Northeast University and a doctor of philosophy from Boston College. He also holds several honorary doctorate degrees and the President's Award for Distinguished Civic Leadership from Emerson College. Dr. Motley has often been called the Pied Piper of Boston because young people just seem to follow him around, gravitating to his humor, his sincerity, and embracing warmth and energy. He pulls no punches, holds high expectations of young people, and moves mountains to support their growth and open up doors of opportunity. He's married to the lovely Angela Motley and is the proud father of Keith, Kayla, and Jordan, and grandfather of Maya and Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. J. Keith Motley. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Monica. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to be here today with you. I'm so glad that several of you stayed on my case about being here today. It has just been an amazing, amazing opportunity, not only to get to know the foundation better, but to get to know why we're all here. That 19 years of life that now is 22 years of someone who was so dedicated to making sure that those of us who needed that opportunity to get to a new level of excellence would have that. So I'm honored to be here. And then I was told, before you accept this opportunity, why don't you go and check out the mission? And so as I went through your mission and found that not only was this about succeeding in college for low income and need-based students, and mentorship was a most important part of this, I was just overwhelmingly, I ran to this opportunity because everything that I read about was the person who I was growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so while you've heard all these stories, and Chana, I'm so grateful for your story. You set the stage sharing a personal experience as a first generation college student that definitely was I'm just going to continue on your keynote today, because you talked about the struggles, you talked about what it was like being at Brown, and what an amazing thing. And so then finally, as I looked at this opportunity today, I think it was Monica who said to me that education should not be a privilege. We need to level the playing field by providing financial support and essential mentorship support. And so then if that wasn't enough, they told me that one of my dear friends was the live keynote speaker, all before all this Zoom and remote and virtual this and virtual that, Steve Pemberton. So I had to come today. See, I arrived in Boston as a first generation college student for the first time back in the early 1970s from the neighborhoods of Pittsburgh. Neighborhoods at August Wilson, the playing fields of Roberto Clemente and Willie Sargent, steel mills, and with a notion that you weren't supposed to go to college, you were supposed to go to work. So I was sort of an outlier. My immediate neighborhood was a lively mixture of Italian and Jewish and Polish and Black. I grew up playing baseball, football, basketball, bocce, and spin the dreidel. I had incredible exposure opportunities, but I did not know that. And those exposure opportunities shaped the image I had of the world, such as church, violin, acting lessons, Boy Scouts, you name it, I was involved. These experiences not only gave me the exposure, but they allowed me to leverage my identity, which is important because knowing yourself is the key to all wisdom. And so when you know yourself, that wisdom just starts to fly. So I was able to begin to carry forward core values and beliefs and goals to make life choices and pursue opportunities. So when I look back, these are the operating principles which lie behind my decision-making, my relationships, my dealings with people, and my aspirations. So I'm talking about life lessons, the ones that you learn at the kitchen table, the ones you learn in school, Sunday school, the ones you learn in Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, in school from your favorite teacher, in the barbershops, beauty shops, and in the engagement with organizations like this incredible foundation. So reading became a fundamental part of my life long before I knew how important it was. My mother, prior to even working in the public schools in Pittsburgh, was the driving force behind my formal and informal education. I can't remember a time in my life when I couldn't read. Even when she sent me up to bed and screamed, "Put out the lights and do not read, go to sleep," she knew full well that I'd be reading, because after all, I'd read by the moonlight because she put the books there every night in a large pile to make sure that I did that. In 6th grade, I was selected to do what was considered something that wasn't so common at the time. I was considered part of a STEM program at one of the colleges there in the city that selected a group of us to learn how to do computers when they were the size of your house. And you had to put key cards in them to make them work. By having me participate in TRIO's Upward Bound program at the University of Pittsburgh, where I spent most of my high school time, was one of the greatest gifts that my mother could give me, because it made sure that I was prepared to further my education and have the confidence to leave home and come here to Boston, even when everyone was laughing at me, because I was a college boy going off to be poor for the next years while they were making all of this money in the steel mills. But I left the comfort of my caring neighborhood to come here. So I realize now more than ever that experiences and opportunities like the one that these students and these scholars are experiencing here at the Anaya Foundation, and the funding that you provide as donors will help make, as it was in my life, will help shape all of them for the journey as it shaped me for my journey into service as chancellor for an urban public research university like the University of Massachusetts, Boston. A role that when I told people that it would happen because it hadn't happened in 400 years here in Boston. In 400 years, they hadn't had a tall, bald-headed, handsome guy become the chancellor of one of their universities. But I wanted to do that because I was prepared to do it by those mentors and others in my life that exposed me and helped me gain the confidence to want to move on in my life, like these young people that we're working with today are doing. So I was a wandering spirit. I was determined in search for my destiny, but I was unknowingly, because you get this confidence that you think you can do anything, but I didn't know that I needed a guide. I needed someone to help guide me. So today, as I share with you, I can look on this through different and transformed eyes. Today, as I celebrate the success of this foundation and our scholars, I will share with you, as you begin to support the learning opportunities like this one, that this is where you should expect and endeavor to crystallize the funders, board, and staff dream of closing the achievement gap for these students and the students' aspiration for academic career achievement into a concrete plan. Now, you heard the story of what happens when you're walking into these situations unprepared. Our goal here at this foundation is to make sure that our scholars don't have to jump over as many of those hurdles, but when they see one, they'll know either to jump over it, to crawl through it, or to run around it. But they know what the big goal is, and that big goal is success. So I came to a similar program like this one, kicking and screaming, when I was a youngster, because my summer with friends had been taken away from me. I didn't even want to speak to my mother. I left with a renewed determination when I was done with that program, and the understanding that I had what was necessary to take on the responsibility of learning, because learning is a responsibility, but also developing myself at a higher level. I also gained the confidence that I could go to and successfully navigate. As our first speaker talked about, he successfully navigated through any college or university that admitted me. I came wounded and feeling sorry for myself when I came to Boston. My first essay was about being alone, because I went from this high school guy who couldn't walk without talking to somebody over and over again to somebody who had to start again. So I came wounded and feeling sorry for myself, but I left revitalized. I came asking, why me, to these programs, and I left hearing, why not you, Keith? I came thinking that I wanted to go to college, and when I was done with a program like this in Pittsburgh, I knew that I wanted to go to college. So I see now how these experiences and exposure opportunities have been beyond all the academic, professional development, and technical skills it transferred. They afforded me the relationships that have been crucial to fortifying my life. So when I look at this foundation, the special sauce here is mentoring. The mentoring will be the special sauce for this foundation. Now, I know that we're going to have people that are going to step up, both as peers who will mentor, but we're going to have others who will step up to mentor one-on-one, one student per mentor, to make sure that they're not overloaded. So you come on board, but you do it. But these scholars are so unique. They're unique because they're going to operate out of gratitude for that mentorship and for the opportunities that are going to be afforded by this experience. And so they carry with them the ethics and the methods that are going to make a difference, that you will transition to them. The importance of investing your wisdom and then using that wisdom that they will accumulate along the way into the lives of others who just needed access and an opportunity, is why we need to have mentors here. We need you to understand the impact that you will have on these scholars. Mentors that will be with us operate out of the core values like the centrality of service, where it becomes clear to all of us, because we all have heard this over and over again, to whom much is given, much is expected. So we need you to step up for our scholars. Values like the appreciation rather than the fear of people's uniqueness, because when we mentor and we engage with each other, we find out things about each other to help us learn and grow. Values like the importance of caring that result in a deep sense of responsibility, and don't just sit comfortably by and allow programs or people to fall through the cracks. We're not going to do that here in this foundation. You heard the story. We're looking at those who did not have the opportunity, but we're looking to prop them up on a pedestal. But then we're not going to pull that chair from under them. We're going to have the support structures in place that make the difference. Another value is community, where it is a competitive American culture that's tempered by the empathic and then human impulse toward creating a sense of belonging for all people. We're building a community here because no one wants to be excluded. And so our goal is to make sure that we're inclusive. You heard how it moved from 3 scholars to the goal that we have today. So in all those informal places where we were socialized into the man or woman that we've become, when we bring forward those things that are important in our life that make a difference, you'll find that people that were giving you wisdom, the wisdom that you had and that you gained is transferable. Transfer that wisdom to somebody else, not just as a African-American or a Latino or Asian or a white person, not just as a person who might be Irish, French, Hispanic, or some other ethnicity, but as a human being, someone that ultimately is someone that we're looking forward to developing in this higher education enterprise. Good human beings. That's what we are ultimately looking to develop. And so, let's work together to grow, develop, and advance. Our goal must be to understand what growth means, to achieve the goals that these young people have. Growth is going to mean change. Development is going to mean change. Advancement is going to mean change. When they get promoted, it's going to mean change. And finally, envision. We want our scholars to envision the rest of their lives. Don't wait until you have the title or job to do it. Start planning and doing it now. Act like you are in that position now. Bring value to the table like you're in that role today. And so I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you that joined us today. This is our opportunity. Our opportunity is to pass on this knowledge, to work together with these scholars, to prepare them to complete the cycle. And the cycle is, in turn, our expectation is that they'll do the same for somebody else when they begin to sit in those seats that we never dreamed that we would see our young people or ourselves sitting in. So I want to thank you for being here today, for taking time out of your lives to support this foundation. Monica, thank you for allowing me to come say a few words. And I am just full from having this experience with you all today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Motley, for those words. Your leadership, your guidance guides our principles and our goals, and we'll surely hope to see more participation from the audience. So thank you again. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Reggie Jean, who's going to lead a panel for our scholars, so you can hear from them directly. Reggie Jean currently serves as the director for the Boston University's Upward Bound and Upward Bound Math and Science programs. Reggie began a connection with Upward Bound as a tutor while attending Boston University and returning each summer to work with the program. He became a full-time Upward Bound staff member in 2001, and in 2015, took on the role of director. Reggie has served as the president of the New England Educational Opportunity Association and the Massachusetts Educational Opportunity Association. Through his work with Upward Bound, he has mentored hundreds of teenagers and young adults. Reggie has a bachelor's degree in sociology and a master's in administration in education from Boston University. And now, if you can welcome Reggie Jean, and I'll let him do his magic. He is amazing and just serves as such a good mentor and a leader for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you for that great and gracious introduction, Monica. I'm honored to be here and share the stage with Monica, Keith Motley, Shauna Shrey, and Anaya Tipnis scholars who we are about to meet. As Monica mentioned, I am Reggie Jean. I do want to say that hearing the context that Monica shared earlier and the experiences and the insights from Chana Shrey and Dr. Keith Motley, both who, all three who I've known for a significant amount of time, but they all sort of underscore the need to ensure that more students should have the access to go to college and be successful in college. The pandemic that Monica so greatly put into context and the issues, social justice issues, Black Lives Matter issues that she referenced. It's not a reason to delay the goals of the students who want to go to college, but it underscores why we need to make sure that the students have the support to go. What a college degree can mean in job security, better health, earnings over a lifetime are too valuable to students, to us, our society, to be put on hold. Each of you in the audience, many of the panelists, the speakers as well, should be applauded for making sure that the dreams of the students are not deferred. We know all too well that deferred dreams often go unrealized. And what we need to say that won't happen under our watch. I have worked with youth for several years from Boston and Chelsea to support their goals of graduating from college. I can say firsthand that we have some great students with us today, right? Having worked with many students, you're in for a treat of our scholars. We will have two student panels. The first one will be of returning scholars, and the second will be for incoming new scholars of the high school class of 2020. Each will run about 15 minutes or less. We have some questions that our panelists will answer, and we told them to speak from the heart, right? But that also means that we're not quite sure what they may say, and that's okay. We're here to learn about them and to think about how we can support them and the work of the foundation. So we want to have fun, but also be pushed to think about that. We have a little less than 15 minutes for each panel, so it doesn't give us a lot of time, but please post any questions you may have in the Q&A, and then we hope we can get to some of those questions. Our first panel will be 3 of our 4 returning scholars. They graduated high school in 2019 or 2018 and are currently in college. The panel will help us learn who they are, their experiences as being a scholar, and we want them to share their story. To start, we've asked them to introduce themselves and answer a question. They will share their name, their college, their major if they have one, and answer the question. Before going to college, what were some of the biggest challenges that you had faced. One of the biggest challenges you've had faced. So they will introduce themselves in alphabetical order by last name. I do want to mention that Carla Duran, she is not able to be with us today. She sends her regrets. And so we will start off with Malu.
All right, can you guys hear me? Good. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Malu Andrade, and I attend the University of Massachusetts Amherst. I'm currently studying sustainable business management, and the biggest challenge that I've encountered before attending college was feeling like I wasn't good enough for society's, based on society standards, that I wasn't intelligent enough. This resulted in me trying to make up for my disadvantages by joining leadership programs and engaging in my community. But in the end, I found out that I didn't have any disadvantages. I just had more room for growth and opportunities that will help me shape my identity. The foundation has provided me with mentorship, a partnership, and a family that I couldn't be more appreciative of. When you live in an environment that is so against you, this foundation gives you hope, and it shows you that there are people out there willing to help you and meet your success. And hopefully when I go back to college, I can further this cause and graduate and give back to my community, just as this foundation has given back to me. And I also wanted to say that this pandemic has been an experience for everyone. Everyone's been going through a difficult time, but honestly, it's life, and it's taught me a lot about myself. Kind of staying in isolation makes you learn, and makes you more appreciative of the opportunities that have been lended to you. And honestly, I am very, very appreciative of what I've been able to achieve during this pandemic, even though it was a tough time. But I'm still trying to, stay positive, and that's another thing this foundation has taught me. And also, I would really love to thank the guest speakers, Chana and Dr. Motley, because you guys have basically became role models by being people that I can actually relate to, because I don't see a lot of people that talk about their experiences in our first gens and talk about the struggles and plights that they encountered throughout their life. And just you being able to be, you guys are successful, very successful, and showing me that I too can achieve the success with my background makes me really happy. And I'm so glad that you guys got to speak today and just share your knowledge with all of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Malu. And we'll give Dee Dee a chance to introduce herself.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name's Dee Dee Hernandez. I'm currently going to Dartmouth College right now. And my intended major, hopefully it doesn't change, but intended major right now is environmental science with a possible minor in biology. And I have to say that one of the biggest challenges that I faced before going to college was just finding that correct sort of mix between school work and also dealing with family responsibilities. I definitely saw this more as I continued throughout high school. By the end of senior year, I was in multiple programs, different clubs, coach of a swim team at the Boys and Girls Club. So there were definitely a lot of responsibilities that I had to keep up with. And I also had AP classes and schoolwork, something that a lot of the scholars right now are experiencing. And I just wanted to say that, yes, I really love Anaya Tipnis Foundation, and I can't wait to see what else we're able to do in the future.
Thank you, Dee Dee. And knowing Dee Dee personally for a couple of years, she did have to juggle a lot of responsibilities, and you don't meet a student who can do that as well as many others. And Dee Dee's one of those students who could do that, who did that very well. All right, so we'll have Bashir introduce herself.
Everyone, my name is Bashira Nur Hussain, and I attend Clark University. I'm thinking about majoring in biochemistry and minoring in business and management. Uh, Before attending college, my biggest fear, my biggest challenge was trying to figure out how I should prepare for college academically. And but I attended a program at Clark for our first generation students, which was during the summer, and they provided me resources about how I should be ready for college. The Anaya Foundation provided me a mentor who is genuinely caring and is willing to give me helpful advice and answer my questions. So I'm really grateful.
Thank you so much for sharing that experience, your perspective. And so the next question I want the scholars to answer is about their transition to college. So just talk about that. You've been in college 1 year. What was the biggest obstacle, difficulty in college, right, during that time? So talk about that, if you will.
I can go first. This is Dee Dee again. So for me, it definitely had to do with the quarter system that Dartmouth College has. So the quarter system, just in case you're not familiar with it, it's really, really fast paced compared to a regular 12-week semester. Dartmouth usually trims that down to about 10 weeks. And that's something that I never had experience with. And just with that fast-paced nature, I felt like I was always trying to catch up. And just to get a general sense of what the quarter system felt like, by the second or third week, most people were already taking their midterms on campus. And that was something that really, really shocked me. I remember reading about it on the Dartmouth College website, but it's one thing to learn about it, and then it's another thing to actually experience it. So that's definitely something that I'm still trying to get used to, even on remote learning, just trying to find that correct rhythm for myself.
An obstacle I faced like while at college is kind of feeling like I don't belong in this environment. I felt left out, and especially when I took this like rigorous math, it was like calculus 2, I believe, math course, and it was kind of very advanced, and I didn't take Calc 1 in high school, so I was kind of at a disadvantage. So what happened was it kind of discouraged me and made me feel like I was not smart enough. And I struggled so hard. Like it kind of took a mental toll on me just because of the fact that I felt like I was a failure. And I spoke with my mentors, and they kind of guided me through that and helped me pick like the right choices. So I ended up switching out of that class and taking Calculus 1. And even though I struggled with that class, my mentors like helped me tremendously. Like they're so amazing. They had Bitsy and Sanjeev's kids. They took the class previously, and even though they had their own like courses to work on, their own finals, they were still able to help me and tutor me and allow me to get like I ended up getting like a 93 on the final, and that really brought up my grade, and I was so happy, and I'm still appreciative of that. And they just go above and beyond, and helping me deal with any hardships that I encounter.
Great. Bashir, if you have anything you want to share?
Yes. My biggest obstacle was trying to manage my time, especially because I took chemistry, biology, and calculus, and it was pretty difficult, and the courses were very hard, and I didn't know how to for my exams, so I attended office hours and tried my best to
Right. And one of the things I want to also ask you guys to talk about And before I get to that question, if anybody from the audience has a question, feel free to put it in the Q&A. So talk about, you've been a scholar, a NIATIPNIS scholar for a year. What has been the most beneficial part of being a scholar, of support from the foundation? If you could talk about, one thing that, you can pick as, one of the most beneficial parts of that, because that might also inform some of our new scholars as well. And we could start with Bashir if you wanna give us a sense.
Mentorship, for me, mentorship was very beneficial. Like I said, my mentor was very caring and she answered all of my questions. She provided me resources and gave me advice, really great advice throughout my first semester and my second semester.
Great, thanks. And Bashir, I think there's some feedback going on. Maybe there's something you're holding that's near your microphone if you want to move that for the next question. Didi, Malu, if you guys want to add, what has been most beneficial for you in terms of the scholarship?
I can go. So definitely it has to be the mentorship. I think Dr. Motley called it the special sauce, and I definitely agree with that. Especially during the winter term, there was just so many things going on. I was taking a very difficult bio class, and on top of family responsibilities back home as well. But talking to Sumant, my mentor, he just kind of had that level head, that clear mind that I really needed to hear from. And he was able to just guide me on like which courses to take for next time and maybe try to avoid some courses for this specific term. So, and it definitely helps that he has two kids, one in college and one about to go into college. And he just talks to me like I'm one of his kids, and I really appreciate that.
Malu, anything you want to share? All right. So again, if anyone has something put on a Q&A, feel free. I want to ask this question. You've been in college a year. You've probably had a lot of good experiences in the classroom, outside of the classroom. What have you yet to do in college that you're looking forward to the most? What do you want to do that you have yet to do? So, Didi, you can take that one if you want.
Sure, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that popped into my head is just being on campus in the first place. So I know that Dartmouth it just has a very beautiful campus during the spring, and I sadly wasn't able to experience that. So I wasn't able to see, the trees grow, the flowers blooming and all that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But more generally, I'm really looking forward to study abroad, hopefully, at some point during my college career. I know that for my major, environmental science, there's a study abroad program in South Africa that I'm really looking forward to. And there I would be able to learn about water availability and water resources and how we can help out the people there in South Africa. So I'm definitely looking forward to those two things.
Great, great. That's one of the things that few students get an opportunity to do. And a lot of students who are represented on that campus don't really see themselves doing study abroad. So that's a great thing to be able to do. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Didi. And then so let's go, and we're talking about, again, experience in college that you're looking forward to the most still. So Bashir, if you want to give that one a go.
So at Clark University, there is a big event called the International Gala where students from different nationalities perform their traditional dances. And I didn't get to go because COVID happened, obviously, so it got canceled. But I'm really looking forward to it during the spring semester.
Great. Malu, you're back with us. What do you think? What do you have yet to do in college that you're looking forward to the most?
Sorry about that. My laptop is acting weird. In college, I have a lot of expectations because I want to gain the most out of my time spent at university. I want to really make connections with people and kind of form friendships that we can collaborate and work together in the future to kind of benefit the community and give back. And I also want to learn more about sustainability in the industry, just because I'm a really big activist for climate change and global warming, and I want to make a change in industries and help them become more sustainable, just to kind of help the environment just kind of improve. And I also want to, like I said, networking and kind of participate in internships and just kind of grow as a person.
Great, great. Thank you. And I'm gonna put my questions to the side. I see some questions from the audience. But I wanna make sure that we can get those in on time. So we're gonna have to do rapid fire. The first question is about what you did the first year. Is there something differently that you wish you had done your first year in college? Quick, one sentence, whoever wants to go.
I'll give it a shot. So something that I really wish I took advantage of during my first year was going to the tutor clearinghouse that they have at Dartmouth. I like to do things on my own a lot of the time, but I'm slowly learning that it's okay to ask for help sometimes. So yes, I would definitely wish that I took advantage of those tutors and group study programs.
Good, good. Bashai, you want to add anything, Malu? Anything? You don't have to.
Can you repeat the question just quickly, please?
Sure. What do you wish you would have done your first year in college?
I think just for me, in high school they kind of glorified and kind of glamorized, or even in movies too, the idea of college and how oh, you're gonna go in, you're gonna meet all these new people, it's gonna be great, you're gonna be successful. And since I took some college programs in school, they kind of just gave me a heads up of what's expected. But then when you actually go in, it's this is not what I expected at all. So having these high expectations kind of just, because it kind of makes everything worse when you kind of fall and kind of fail at something. It just makes you feel 10 times worse because you thought you were going to be you're going to do all these things and it just doesn't happen. But I wish I just kind of came in with good expectations that are manageable, expectations that, and also I wish I came into college with a better mental health. Having struggling with anxiety has kind of limited me from taking risks and really engaging with new people. That kind of limits me from doing a lot of things, and I don't want that to be a barrier between me and with making connections, because that's what I want to do. So kind of working on your mental health before attending college is a big thing, because you're going into a completely different environment, and mental health is not something that is often talked about in school. And high school, it's all about grades, and let's talk about your mental state, which is very crucial in your success in life.
That's great. That's great. And we're going to end it on that note. Using the academic resources at college, like Didi talked about, Malu mentioned, and it's important about mental health and the resources, counselors that you might have on campus that you want to reach out to if you need to, and making sure that you're taking advantage of all that is in college. So I want to thank the returning scholars for their time and sharing their experiences. In some way, you have and you're continuing to pave the way for the 7 newest scholars. You are certainly great role models. So thank you for your time. As we transition to the panel of new scholars, which will serve as a chance for them to share their individual stories, how they envision the scholarship program assisting them. And after hearing from them, the returning scholars, if you want to change how you feel related to, you know, what you see as a benefit of the scholarship, that's fine too. To start, we will ask them to introduce themselves and answer a question as well, sharing their name, college, possible interest majors that they have in college, and your biggest challenge that you have faced. So I think we're down on time, so we probably have closer to about 10 minutes for the panel. So I'll be quiet and I'll let Karina start us off with her introduction.
Hello, my name is Karina Avalos. I'm going to Tufts University, hopefully in person in the fall. I guess I'm undecided at the moment, but one thing I'm really interested in is environmental science. I started to be interested in environmental science during my first year at Upward Bound, where I met Reggie. And I guess my biggest challenge so far is just the money-wise financial situation, especially once COVID hit, that kind of blew everything away. So, but hopefully things go back on track.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Nazira.
Hi, I'm Nazira. I'm going to be attending UMass Lowell in the fall. My major is mechanical engineering. I'm hoping to minor in Mandarin, maybe some sort of language. And I think the biggest challenge for me going into college was more identity-wise. I went to school at a charter school in between like Mattapan and Rosendale. And then I went to a private high school in the heart of the city. And so the demographics there were very different. And being thrown into an environment with I really resonated with what Chana was saying about kind of suddenly you're in this environment and like you see the privilege. And I think that really did something to me. I've been having a Simba moment for about 4 years where I kind of don't know who I am. And so that definitely has had a big impact on me and what I feel like I can do, my confidence academically. And that's something I plan on working on, especially as a Black female going into a predominantly white and male fields. I really want to get up my confidence and, you know, kind of work on knowing who I am and being secure in my identity. So I'm excited to kind of figure that out in college.
Awesome, awesome. All right, Kitty Ann.
Hello, my name is Anne. I will be attending MCPHS University. I recently graduated from North Quincy High School. I will be majoring in pre-medical and health studies with a possible interest in double major with sociology. I found out about this scholarship opportunity through Urban Scholars. And my greatest challenge thus far is balancing the need for me to get an education and the practical need for my family to maintain our standard of living, along with bridging the gap between who I am and who I want to be.
Awesome. Carolina.
Hello. Oh, sorry. So my name is Lana Jaha, and I'm going to be attending Bryn Mawr College in the fall. I'm tentatively planning to study biology with a pre-med track. For me, my biggest challenge during high school was primarily just like scheduling and organizing myself in terms of like not taking too many things, because I'm the type of person, I'm very active within my community, and so I end up taking maybe a couple of clubs and go to a bunch of events, and on top of that I'm taking APs and dual enrollment classes, and so it was kind of hard for me to manage that system and manage all of these things going on and also taking care of myself as a person. So I feel like for me, it was kind of just learning that self-care is a thing and that I need to put myself in the equation. I can't just leave myself out and be like, I can do all these things and I'll be okay. And so I kind of had to learn through high school the hard way that I need to take care of myself and I'm just as important as anything else that I do because I can't do anything if I'm not functioning properly. So that's the thing that I kind of struggled with the most in high school. I'm still working on today.
Great. That's a great lesson learned, and to learn that so young, that's great. Um, all right. Let's go to, let's see who's next. Brianna.
Hi. Okay. Hi, my name is Brianna Feliciano, and this fall I'll be attending Tufts University. And as of right now, I'm interested in architecture and education. And similar to what Nazira was saying, because we went to the same high school, growing up in the Heath Street projects in JP and being in public school for most of my life, transitioning into a private, not only private, predominantly white and all girls high school was a culture shock for me as well. And similar to what Chana was saying earlier, it was really shocking to see how few of people who looked like me or who I thought resonated with like the experience that I had looked like me were there. Like, let me see. When I first started there were like less than 10 Latinas at Windsor, and that was hard for me to swallow. And so I feel like that's what drove my like passion for really involving myself in the affinity groups at Windsor. And I'm really grateful that they had those affinity groups because I know some schools don't even have those. But yeah, I feel like that culture shock, and especially coming from the group and like the program that prepared me to attend that school. I went to Stepping Stone. I don't know if any of you guys might know that program, but it really helped me excel and prepare to like take the ISEE and apply to independent and exam schools. And with all the confidence they helped me build and the support that they provided for me going into that school and feeling like that was kind of like taken away from me. Not that Stepping Stone wasn't still there, but more so that it wasn't the same like emphasis on, okay, we're going to really help and make sure that you guys succeed along with your peers. So yeah, that was difficult, but I'm grateful because I'm seeing some changes. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And Marlene Gallen can't be with us today. She's with a family member who's in sort of critical condition. So let's keep her and her family in our minds. And so let's go to Amira.
So hi, my name is Amira. I'm 18. I am a graduate of Madison Park Technical Vocational, where my vocation was carpentry. And in the fall, I will be attending Bay Path University, where my major will be interior design. My biggest challenge I've had to face before going to college was learning to be independent. Growing up in a family as big as mine, I have so much support and guidance behind me, but to just leave it all behind for a while is just going to be tough. But I'll definitely miss all those home cooked meals for sure. But I know I'm just a phone call away, so I'll be all right.
Great. All right. And so we're going to end the panel with one more question. Tell us about what the scholarship meant to you, means to you and your family. And so we're going to go in reverse. Since Amira had to wait the longest, let's start with Amira. What's the scholarship mean to you?
Okay, so I kind of written this down real quick. So this scholarship has meant everything to me and my family. For those who may not know, I come from a single family household with just me, my mom, and my little brother. My mom struggles alone, just trying to make ends meet, and most of those times I have to step in and help her. So the scholarship was a tremendous help. But not only financial wise, the scholarship has provided me with a mentor who I can lean on for support. And as someone who's nervous about going to college, it was amazing to just know I have someone to communicate with. With this scholarship, I will utilize every tool given to me and use it as a crutch as I'm going along in my career. So thank you to everyone who has provided me with this amazing scholarship. Thank you.
Great. We'll keep going in reverse. We'll go to Lana, and then we'll hear from Brianna.
For me, the scholarship means to me just being one step closer to my goal, right? Because it gives me a mentor, which is somebody that I can problem solve with, someone I can connect with, talk with, someone who could give me more connections, such as, like, for instance, I've been talking with my mentor and she connected me with her nephew, who's also interested in going to medicine. So he gave me some advice already about scheduling. So just having that connection, somebody to talk to, and also that financial resource of being able to have that scholarship kind of helps me not have to worry about debt, not have to stress about the fact that where is my money going to come from to pay for certain things. And it also just alleviates the stress of saving for medical school, because that's my goal in the end, is to go to medical school, and that's a costly expense. And then also just knowing that I have that support network, knowing that I have other students around me, knowing that there's a foundation that cares about me, someone's going to support me, is 100% behind me, is something that I really appreciate, because I've always been supportive, always outreach to other programs. And so this program kind of continues that legacy of having mentors, having a support system in place, and that's really important for me, and I appreciate that so much from the foundation.
Hi again, my name's Bree, and to answer that question, I think what this scholarship has really done for me is helped like validate all of the sacrifices and hard work that I have really been doing throughout since middle school. And I feel like having been nominated by my AP chemistry teacher, which was the class I struggled in the most, I felt like that meant a lot to me. And then to be given this scholarship, I was like extremely grateful and honored to have this opportunity, especially knowing that there were 30 something of us who applied and only 7 of us received the scholarship. And I feel like not only is the scholarship and this group of adults helping us be acknowledged and recognized in our experience and our struggles, but they're also doing everything that they can to support us and do something about it, and to like build the bridge and close that gap where we are feeling like we don't have as much opportunity, or we feel like we should not be striving to achieve and do the things that people who don't necessarily look like us are achieving and doing.
Okay. Great points. Thank you. Let's go to Kitty Ann and then Nazira.
Hello again. So for me, the scholarship means freedom. It means freedom from a lot of things, from debt, from fear. And I'm just so thankful that I received the scholarship. And by applying to it, I really hope to build community and building a support system throughout college. And so far, speaking to my mentor, I can already tell that he's going to be extremely helpful in helping me with my career goals and helping me stay on task and helping me being motivated. So this scholarship just, it means so much to me, especially that I am undocumented. So it means everything. So thank you.
For me, this scholarship reaffirms my dreams and the things I want to do. Ever since I was very young, I knew I wanted to do something that had to do with kind of bringing science to kids that look like me. Because growing up, especially now going into engineering, I never saw engineers of color, didn't know any chemists of color. Like, I honestly, to this day, I don't think I can name for you 5 Black scientists, and I that's a problem. And so to now be a part of this network of people that are not only looking out for me, but also people that look like me, and to see how much the foundation has accomplished so far, and it's still such a young foundation, it gives me hope, because I know that something similar to this is what I want to do with my future, what I want to do with my engineering degree. I want to educate people and kind of get kids that look like me to this point where, they have resources and they can gain things. And so the mentorship opportunity Morgan, amazing mentor. We've talked a couple of times, and like I really appreciate him and the advice he's given me so far, and just the prospect of being in contact with other people and getting internship opportunities. Like this means everything to me. And so thank you to all of you, because honestly, without you, I wouldn't be here. So
yeah. Well, Nazira, thank you. And it's also your hard work that has brought you to this point. So that's important to recognize. Marlene Gallen, again, she can't be here, but she also talked about, how this scholarship can help her get into the medical field, through internships too. That she also mentioned that. And so we're going to go to our last scholar to give her a chance to answer this question. Karina, if you could talk about what the scholarship has meant to you.
Hi, like I said earlier, money has been a really big problem, specifically towards college, because as we all know, college is super expensive, and it's not easy to pay all that off. And so once I found out that there was a scholarship, I learned it through the program Upward Bound, and I signed up, and I was like, you know what, it wouldn't hurt to try. And so I signed up and I got it, and I was like, oh, great. And just, I felt like relief just flood through when I found out that I won it, that like that's maybe one potential year I don't have to worry about money wise. And it's so good to know that like you have that freedom to think about other stuff. Like now I just have to think about my classes. And with the mentorship, I was talking with my mentor, and it might seem so little, but she told me make a list of things you're interested in, and then from there you could see what classes might fit your schedule based on your interests. And without her saying like, oh, make a list, I would have never thought about that. I probably would still be stressing right now about what classes I want to take. And it's just, the foundation has been really good, really good. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Karina. And thank you to all the students. We heard from both panels some obstacles that they've had to overcome about their educational journeys and the impact of the scholarship. It's clear that the work of the foundation is helping make sure that the aspirations are not being halted at a time when we should be reinforcing their foundation. And that's a thought I want to leave you with is, the word foundation typically means, an established institution or organization that helps meet a societal need, through people giving. However, as we heard today, in Tibnis's case, the word foundation also reminds us of the Latin root fundare, which means to lay a base for. And hearing from our students and our speakers today, it's clear that our collective work and support of helping students to go to and through college is helping lay a base for futures of success and in a society that moves closer to the arc of justice that Dr. King always referenced. So thank you for your time. I know we went over, but it was an opportunity to hear from our students and to make sure that our work comes to fruition. My time is up. Thank you again. I'll turn it over to Monica Kashru for her closing remarks.
Thank you, Regina, and thank you to all the scholars. I can't but help being humbled. All the scholars thanked us for helping them, but I have to say on behalf of my entire team, we are humbled and inspired every day by your stories and look forward to doing only more. And I have to say also that there is goodness in all our hearts, and we all want to help each other, but sometimes life gets in the way and we can't always do all we want to do. And sometimes life presents an opportunity and we're able to help someone. With the stories of Chana, Dr. Motley, and our students, we witnessed the power of our support, the incredible impact that we can make. We can help a young man or a woman become that manager, that director, and even a chancellor of a university, who in turn helps many students succeed, and they in turn give back. So help us create this tide of positive change, this tsunami of many, many success stories. Please consider joining us. You can donate towards a tuition expense, or perhaps become a mentor, or to connect us with your organization who would like to host an intern. Or perhaps you just want to write to us to tell us how we can do better. With that, I know we've gone over, and I apologize, but thank you for indulging me to share what we do to our foundation. And I want to thank all our partners, all our corporate sponsors, an incredible team of volunteers without which none of this would be possible. So thank you again, and I want to wish you all a really pleasant evening. Be well, stay safe, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.